Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Meet the Bookstagrammer. My name is Megan. I am an associate on the social media team here at Random House. And today we are going live with another one of my favorite bookstagrammers, the Soul Reader, who should be popping in here soon.
Hey!
Hi!
How's it going?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm doing really well. I'm so excited.
I'm so happy to see your face. Oh my God.
Yay!
I couldn't find my shirt. I wanted to match you so badly. I couldn't find it this morning. It's somewhere in my apartment, but you look fabulous.
Oh, thank you. You too.
Do you want to introduce yourself to everyone with your name, your handle, and your pronouns?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Soul of the Soul Reader, and my pronouns are she and her.
Yay! She's an amazing bookstagrammer that is a personal friend of mine, and I'm very excited that we're talking.
I
So
know.
I love to always hear people's Bookstagram origin story. Like, where did you find Bookstagram? What made you decide to start your own account? The whole long story. So tell us everything.
Okay, so this story is one that's really dear to me. So in 2018, I was actually reading, I was in Hawaii and I went and bought a bunch of books. And I was reading Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race by Reniero Lodge. And as I was reading, I was just like, oh my gosh, like there's so many good topics to talk about in this book. Like it was just mind blowing. So I would talk to my friend Lindsay, who her handle is Books and Booze. And she had a blog already. She had a book page, and I was following her book page. And so I was just like, how could I talk about these books with other people? Because some of my friends like just weren't interested. And so I was just like, well, let me ask Lindsay what she's been doing. Like, how did she get started with everything? So I decided I was going to do a blog first, actually. And I do have my blog page up, but I'm revamping it. And then I was like, well, let me just make a book page on Instagram. I didn't even know Bookstagram existed. I honestly didn't. So I made the book page and then I just like started following a bunch of people. And like I went through Black Girl That Reads and I think it was Poppin' Curls. I think she changed her name. But I went through their followers and was just like, who else is talking about books? And that's really like just how it grew. And then I was like, wow, like I did not know that there was a whole Bookstagram community. So here I am.
I love that. I love that you didn't even know what you were getting yourself into. You just decided to try it out, and now here you are.
Exactly. It's like a whole new world.
Yeah, and going through everyone else's followers is actually brilliant. I feel like I haven't discussed that with other people, but that was definitely something I did too. Like, these are my favorite accounts. Like, who are they talking to? Like, let's see what everyone's
Yes.
like chatting about.
Yes.
That's
I
a
found so many great people just going through other people's followers.
Yeah, exactly. It's a brilliant way to like expand your circle.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
so you started off with like a book basically that you wanted to talk about. Do you have any like books that you are reading now, or like does your reading taste change now that you're on Bookstagram, or are you still reading the kinds of books that you were reading when you first started and you first wanted to talk about?
So, okay. So I'm currently reading His Only Wife. And I've been doing like reaction videos to it just with some
Yes,
of the
you
like little
have, and I
pieces,
love them.
which is something new. Like I haven't done reaction videos before, but I've seen some other bookstagrammers who do them and I love them. And I was just like, well, sure, why not? Let's try it. So I am reading this one. It is so good. Um, but I like my reading hasn't really changed. I've always been a very versatile reader. I'm just getting into a lot of books that I just didn't know were out there. And but they all tend to fall into the same type of books that I would read. What's interesting is I don't really read science fiction or fantasy or thrillers. I don't usually do thrillers and horrors because I'm such a scaredy cat. Like I don't watch scary movies. I don't do any of that. So reading a thriller just never popped into my head to do. So when I got When No One Is Watching, and I think it's Blacktop Wasteland, I was like, oh gosh, like how am I gonna make it through these books? Because these are not typically the books that I would read. And I don't want to be freaked out. And so, but but I will say, like, since joining Bookstagram, I have been like, my reading has expanded to where I am a little bit more open to reading books that I don't typically read, just because I'm seeing everybody else talk about how great they are, or explaining what the synopsis is or what they resonated with. So it does kind of intrigue me to be like, oh, let me, maybe I should check it out and see. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Once everyone else is talking about it, you want to know what they're all like chatting about, so you jump in.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
definitely a side effect of Bookstagram for me too.
For sure. For sure.
I'm so excited to read When No One Is Watching too. That's on my like October spooky books list.
Yes.
Yeah, wait, so can you talk to us a little bit about your reaction videos? Because I have been absolutely like loving them. They're so funny. They're so good. I love watching your face change as you're like getting so into describing them. Like tell us about like what inspired you to start those. Like they're like you said they're new for you. So where did that come from?
Yeah, so Jayana of Let Me Down and Diana, I can't remember her handle right now, and I'm like, I feel so bad. But they were reacting to a science fiction or fantasy book, and just like their reactions to it, I was so drawn in. Like, I find it so funny and so hilarious, some of their commentary. And so I would only post like quotes here and there on some of the books I was reading, but I was like, why not like try to do something a little different? And I'm gonna try to do a reaction. So the first one that I did was, of course, Girl with a Pearl Earring. And I got so much love for all of those reactions to this book. And it was just like, let me uh just highlight the pieces that I think are so interesting that I think other people would be interested in. Because what I realized with my Bookstagram was that I was posting a lot of these books, and usually I kind of like in the beginning called them reviews, but since then I realized like I don't necessarily want to review them. I just want to give like my reflection on them, or what resonated with me, or what did I learn from this book. So I realized that I was only like posting the book just that one time after I read it, and then I wasn't interacting with it anymore after that, or like at least interacting with it on my page after that. And I wanted to challenge myself to really talk about the books a lot more and in different ways rather than just posting them onto my feed. So I thought the reaction videos would help a lot to do that, because then you get to see what's going on within the book. You get to see how it's really resonating with me, rather than me just typing out a caption and trying to include almost everything that I thought about or felt in the book. So I love them. I love doing the reaction videos now. I think I've gotten so much good feedback from it, and people are like, yeah, I'm definitely buying this book now because of the way that you interacted with it. So it's been great.
Yeah, I'm seeing as the comments are going by, people are quoting you from your Girl with the Pearl Earring reaction video. Like that
Yeah.
girl got slapped.
I'm telling you, that was like the highlight of that book. It happened like 3 times, and I wasn't prepared at all.
Which is just, I mean, the most amazing scene to pull out of that. That whole book, so much happens, and that's the one that you reacted
Yes.
to is so perfect.
Yes. And I think it's important because like people will see like books like this. Like, I never would have thought that this would have been a book that I would have been so drawn to and so interested in. But little pieces like that where it's just like, girl, she got slapped. It's like people, resonate with that type of stuff, and it's like, okay, there's a little bit of drama in here that I might be interested in. So I'm glad I could bring that to people's attention.
I think that's going to be the iconic scene going forward, thanks to
Yes.
you.
Yes. Because when I watched
Um,
the movie, like I watched the movie after I read the book, and I was like, Cornelia better get slapped. I better see some slaps going on. She got slapped once, and I was like, okay, I'll take it.
we'll take it, yeah.
Right.
Oh my God. Um, I love that you have been like, changing up the way that you're talking about books, like you said. How has your posting changed since you started Bookstagram? Like, are your pictures pretty similar? Are your captions similar, or is it like a completely different game now?
So I kind of did shift the way I approached my Bookstagram. Literally maybe 2 months after I created it. Um, I was doing a lot of posting like in my apartment, and then I realized I didn't really like I'm such an aesthetic person. Like I've always been a visual learner, so I'm visual with everything. And I just did not like the way it was looking. I was like, this is not representative of who I really am. Like I'm a bright person. I like colors, like texture. So I started looking at murals around Houston because there's so many graffiti walls and everything around Houston. So I just started using those as the backdrops because there was so much color. I could like go to different murals based on what the book looked like. And so that's really like how my aesthetic changed, and I'm so happy with it. Like I love everyone who compliments me on like your feed is so bright, it's so colorful. I'm like, yes, like that's exactly what I wanted because that's like who I am as a person. Caption wise, I will say, depending on what book I'm reading or what's going on, like what type of post I decide to post, sometimes I try to really include myself in the post and say how this affected me or how I resonate with this, because I think that like lets everyone into who I am as a reader and who I am as a person rather than me just talking solely about the book. Because I mean, anybody can look up the blurb or the synopsis, but I think it touches a lot more, and I resonate with other people's posts a lot more when it's like, I read this because it affected me in this way. So I have been trying to be a little bit more vulnerable and personable and transparent with my captions now.
I love that. Yeah, I think everyone who knows you or has seen your page knows how beautiful and bright and colorful and amazing all your photos are. They bring me so much joy every time I see them.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean I love that you're putting more of yourself into the captions. I feel like that's what everyone's sort of here for on Bookstagram, right? To like see how you specifically are reading the book, not just like what
Yes.
book you read.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So I see a couple of questions coming in down at the bottom here. If you guys have any more questions for us, we can go through and see what we've got here. There's a little question box down at the bottom. Feel free to submit your questions. Here's a question for you now from Mari. What has
Yeah.
been the YA book that spoke to younger soul the most? Oh, I love this question. You and I have had this conversation before, I feel like.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ah, I love Mari. Okay, so I mean, if you have paid attention to my Bookstagram, if you have paid attention to my stories, you will know that All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson is so near and dear to my heart, to Younger Soul's heart. Like, I love this book so much. I love them as an author, as a person. I stand, okay? Like, I fangirl so hard. This book really spoke to the queer side of me. And it, like, they are pushing for coming in instead of coming out, and I resonated with that so much. And that's like, they talk about agency in this book, and I think that is so important, especially for younger queer readers, because when I was younger, I didn't know I was queer. I didn't. I never resonated with labels in that way. And so if I would have had this book, it would have made so much sense. A lot of things would have made so much sense. And so I think this is amazing. Like, I want everybody to read it. I want everybody to pick it up and buy it. And then Julia Takes a Breath by Gabby Rivera. I love
Yes.
this one as well. Like, these are the two YA books that Younger Soul would have been gushing over. Okay. So yes, those are the two. I live and I stand for those books.
Yes, yes, yes. You could not have picked better books. I love both of those. Oh my God, yes. Everything you just said, yes. Thank you for throwing that question to us, Mari, even though I'm sure you
Exactly.
knew the answer.
It got real queer up in here.
Yes, I like it. Let's keep it going. Do you have more queer book recs you want to shout
I
out?
do. I do.
These are the best
Um,
ones.
yes. So I just finished reading Gender Your Guide by Dr. Lee Ayrton, and I haven't seen this a lot on Bookstagram. I haven't seen a lot of people reading it, but I think it's a great book. Like I said in my post, I think it's a great book if you're trying to learn more about non-binary and the trans community. And they give so many great tips and so many great anecdotes and advice, and I think it's a great place to start if you're new to the community or if you're looking to resonate with people that you know who are non-binary and trans. Um, Next one is Suicide Notes. This one, I randomly picked this one up when I was in Barnes and Noble, and I didn't know what it was going to be about, but I was just like, it looks interesting. And come to find out, it is a queer story. So, and it also touches on mental health, which I love. So, I think those two combined together make for a great read. And the author also gives a lot of resources in the back for anybody who's struggling with mental health or struggling with their queerness and needs resources. So, I think that's awesome as well. And then Homie by Dennis Smith. You know, I love to throw poetry in there. I'm such a poetry. This poetry collection is amazing. I heard them speak at Brazil's Bookstore when they came to Houston. It may have been earlier this year or late last year, and hearing them speak was amazing. Like they read from their book and everything. I got it signed, so I'm so excited. So if you're looking to read any poetry, any queer poetry or poetry by a queer author, this is your guide right here. So yeah, those are the ones that. Oh, and of course, how could I not? Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. Oh my gosh, I love this book so much. It is so amazing, and I see a lot of people talking about it, and there's so many good things to dive into with this book. I mean, it's James Baldwin. Like, how could you not love this book? But I love the way that he wrote about coming into your queerness as an adult and realizing that you're not following the status quo, you're not following society standards of who you should date, who you should be with, and how the main character just struggles with trying to understand himself as a queer man because he wants to be with this woman, but he loves this man as well. And it's like, what does that mean about me? What does that say about me? And I think that is a journey that a lot of us in the queer community and the LGBTQ plus community can relate to and understand, especially as an adult. You're trying to figure out, like, who am I? What does this mean for me? Especially, like, for me, my sexuality is fluid. And so labels never really stuck with me because at one point I identified as straight. At one point I identified as bisexual. Then I realized, well, maybe I'm pansexual. Maybe I'm a lesbian. And I was just like, I don't fall into any just one category. So uh, Giovanni's Room just really stuck out to me in that sense of like really figuring out who you are as a person, and that you may not necessarily need to label it. You could just be who you are and be comfortable with that for yourself, you know? So yeah. So those are my queer recommendations.
Yes. Oh my God. I could listen to you talk about that book for years. I feel so great about that. We have a couple more questions in here actually. Let's see what we've got. Um, let's see. Oh, this is a great one. Actually, this is kind of mean, but I'm going to throw it at you anyway. Which bookstore is your favorite? You don't have to pick one. Throw out some of your
I
favorite
know,
bookstores
just
in
one.
general.
Gosh, that's a really tough question because there's so many
Yeah.
bookstores that I love that I haven't visited yet that I want to, like Semicolon in Chicago. I
Yeah.
want to visit that bookstore so much. I know it's fairly new. I think they opened last year actually, and I mean, the aesthetic in there is beautiful. I mean, they have artwork everywhere. They also hold events. I mean, now that COVID's happened, not really. I guess they're doing virtual, but I really do want to visit that bookstore. In Houston, I will say my favorite bookstore is Brazil's Bookstore. They're always so welcoming. They have some of the most amazing author events. The book selections are fantastic. Like, you really can find anything that you want in that bookstore. It's just so cute.
That's like the highest compliment. You can find anything you want in that bookstore. It just
Yeah.
that's let's see. What else do we have here? Oh, this is a good one. What's a pre-Bookstagram book that you loved? If you can think all the way
Oh,
back to
I
pre-Bookstagram.
know. Jeez. Oh gosh, what was I reading pre-Bookstagram?
It's like a whole other life.
I know. Okay, so gosh, if I can. Okay, so just because I have them here, these two books, like I said, Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race. This actually, of course I love this book, but it led me into reading Why I'm Not a Feminist by Jessica Crispin. Because in this book, in chapter 5, she talks about feminism and the lack of like the intersectionality that needs to exist. And I wanted to read more about feminism. And so when I went to Barnes and Noble, I was still in Hawaii at the time. When I went to Barnes and Noble, I saw this book, and I was just like, like that's a different take on it. Like, of course, I want to know why she's not a feminist, because of course it's like you should be a feminist, and So it got me into reading this book, which is a really good book. Like, she talks about a lot, like they go hand in hand. They really talk about the same things, but I wanted it from a different perspective. So yeah, I recommend both of these as well.
I like that. I like that they go together. They're like a soul combo, 2-for-1 book.
Exactly. And I think that's the best way. Like, you can always find good books from other books. They always, especially nonfiction, they always lead you to other books.
Right, exactly. Okay, I think we have time for a couple more questions. Oh, here's Cindy. How's studying and reading going? This is a good question. How do you balance the two?
So studying is going really well, you guys. If you really keep up with me, you see that I was going through it with physics. And I am actually, so for anybody who doesn't know, I'm actually taking prereqs so that I can apply for my Master of Science in Athletic Training. I'm applying for that in the fall. So there are some prereqs that I have to take. So I'm taking that now. And I have done a really amazing job of staying on top of my schoolwork and balancing reading. Like, over the summer when I was taking 2 classes, my reading really took a hit because the classes were so fast paced, and I just had to give all of my energy to that. So my time on Bookstagram and my personal leisurely reading kind of took a back seat. But this semester, I'm only taking 2 classes, so I'm staying on top of those. And it has freed up so much time for me to study for the GRE, to get my grad school application done, and to leisurely read, which I love, because I really was so sad. I was like, I'm not going to be able to read as much. This is going to be so sad. But I have really, I stuck to a planner. Like, I've always loved planners. I've been that kid, like, since middle school, like, with a planner. So I really write down everything I want to do for the day. And I mean, Sins does it with her 3 things in a day. I do it in my planner. Like, there's a section where it's like top 3 things you want to do today. And so I make sure that I include like the top 3 things I want to get done. Once I get those done, then I'm like, cool, like I can read. It's like a reward. So similar to what Lex with the text said on the Last Time Universe, like, you really reward yourself with the reading. It's like, I did a great job. I did everything I needed to do, and now I get to read.
That's your treat afterwards. Absolutely.
Exactly. I'm like name dropping too. Just
yeah. We love it. We love it. We like to spread the love on Bookstagram. But I think the moral of the story with your Bookstagram is that if people aren't watching your stories, they're missing out on a whole other side of your life.
Yes, and I think that's a great thing to state, because you can see people's posts, but especially with the way the algorithm is set up, if you really want to catch other people's posts or what they've been posting lately, go to people's stories. There's so much happening in the stories. People give so much of their life in the stories. I live for the stories.
You and I are always going back at our stories. I feel like we're back and forth all day. It's like where I talk the most.
Because I love you so much.
Okay, I have. What's in our list of questions? Oh, here's a good one. What's your favorite while you're reading? Do you eat snacks while you're reading? Do you eat lunch?
This is from my best friend Justin.
Oh, great.
I actually cannot eat and read at all. Like, I'm always so afraid that I'm gonna drop crumbs or spill something in my books, and I'm so meticulous about keeping my books looking a certain way and keeping them intact. So I don't typically read. I mean, I don't typically like eat or drink when I read. If I do drink, it's like water or something. So yeah.
Yeah, you keep it nice and clean. That's good. I know.
But I will say that I have started listening to music when I read, which is something different. Usually it's like meditation type of music, or like songs that I know I'm not going to start singing along to and just lose track of.
Interesting. I feel like not a lot of people listen to music while they read. I feel like that's kind of a controversial thing to
I think it goes with like the noise. Like, sometimes I can do it, sometimes I can't, because if if too much is going on, then I'm like, it just sounds like noise and I can't do it. Other
Yeah.
times I'm like, yeah, I can create a little vibe, a little mood.
Yeah, I like that. I feel like I get too distracted, but I like that. Maybe I'll have to try
Yeah.
it. Okay, we have a couple minutes left, so I know you've been shouting out some of your favorite people as we've been talking. But do you have any accounts that you want to make sure everyone who's watching goes and follows immediately? Shout out some to
Yes.
your.
Okay, so I've always wanted to like win an award, and I've always like, you know how they have like a list of all the people. So I saved a
Yes,
list.
give us your speech. Speech, speech,
Okay,
speech.
so we're gonna go through this.
Yeah.
And all you people, I love you so much. Okay, so the Lever Cafe, Black Girl That Reads, Lex with the Text, Lit Me Down, Books and Booze, Allegedly Maudie, Being a Bookworm, the Sean Pages, Spines Vines, Read by Rod Kelly, Reggie Reads, Book Nerd Cat, Bowties and Books, Wineberry Books, Melanated Reader, Howard Reads, Hey That's Jazz, Book It Queen, Sweating Till I Make It Too, Book Mindset, Book Queen Wit, Book Dragon 217, D Sweet Library, Greg's Library, Poppin' Curls and Prose, Yazid's Reads, Books with Nick, and Book Recs by Mel.
Amazing. That was, oh my God, that was so
Yes,
cool.
all these people are amazing, and like they have really made this Bookstagram experience incredible. And like Book of Sins, I follow religiously. Like her recommendations, her. I mean, she's freaking amazing. It's Sins. Like y'all have to follow her. But all the people I name, like they just have their own way of doing stuff. These are people I talk to like on the regular about a lot of stuff, and so I'm big about building relationships. So I've built so many great relationships on Bookstagram, and I love it for that. Like y'all are my family.
I love that so much. I see a bunch of people that you shouted out are so excited in the comments.
Oh
Yay.
yeah. I know. I was like, they're gonna think I'm crazy. Like I'm really coming up. I'm so dramatic. I'm like, let me come up with
No,
my list. Like
I
we're at
love
an
it.
award show. And
Yes. Is your list written out in your planner? Because that would be like full circle.
not in my planner, but in my journal that I use to write down all of the notes for the books I read.
Oh my God, amazing. Yes.
Yeah, because I was
Okay.
like, I don't want to forget anybody. And I was like, there's so many people that I have to shout out because there's so many people who I interact with that I think so many other people need to see and need to follow and would love to hear from. And I need to get back to like shouting everybody out in my stories. It's just been crazy. Like my capacity to do certain stuff is just low. And so I'm just like, I'll get to it.
Yep, I can definitely relate to that. But
Yeah.
that's like the best part of Bookstagram is like expanding your circle and meeting new people. And like you said, the relationships. I think that's definitely
Yes,
the part. So I'm glad that you had your list ready. You have your friends ready to go.
absolutely.
That made me so happy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I think that's actually like the perfect, lovely, wholesome way to end because we were just about out of time. But this has been amazing, and I'm so happy that I finally got to
Yeah.
speak with you sort of IRL because this is like
I
virtual, so
know.
I get to see your face. So
I know.
um,
I miss your beautiful face.
it's so nice to see you. Thank you to everyone who popped on to say hi and ask questions. And this will be saved to our Instagram TV on the Random House page so everyone can watch it back to see all those amazing recs and get those handles written down to follow. And thank you so, so much. Soul, it was so nice to see you. And
Thanks,
I
Megs.
will
Nice to see you too.
see you
Thanks,
very
everybody.
soon. Bye, guys.
Bye.